أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله نبي الهدى والرحمة خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the first undertakings of our beloved Prophet of Allah, may the peace and the blessing of the Almighty be upon him, after migrating to Medina, was to build a mosque that was very simple in structure and very simple in appearance. And this was a milestone in the history of Islam, because when they were in Mecca, the Prophet and the Muslims who followed him were a minority, a persecuted minority. They were not allowed to practice their faith. Being a Muslim in pagan Mecca at that time was considered to be a punishable crime. So in Mecca they did not have the freedom of worshipping their Creator in public. They have to do it in hiding. So there was no masjid in Mecca. They used to meet secretly in a place known as Darul Arqam ibn Abil Arqam. But now, after migrating to Medina, arriving at a place where they can freely, without any fear and without any intimidation, they can worship their Creator. Here, the first undertaking was to build the first mosque in Medina, which we know today as Al-Masjid An-Nabawi. And as I said, this masjid was very simple. It didn't have carpet. It didn't have fancy windows or walls or doors, just a simple structure. But despite its simplicity, this mosque in Medina that was established by our beloved Prophet serves as a model, as an example of what a mosque should be, what a masjid should be. And perhaps as we all love our mosques, as we try to establish mosques, it's important to ask ourselves, what is the essence, what is the purpose, what is the substance of a mosque? Perhaps we can look at this simple mosque that was established by our beloved Prophet and look what kind of activities used to happen in that mosque. Obviously, people used to come there for the congregational prayers as we do today, for Jumma, for Fajr, for Zuhr. That was part of it. But that was not the only purpose of the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ. From various narrations, we know that this place was, in addition of being a place of prayer, it was also a place of learning. The companions of the Prophet who came here, they were taught, they were mentored, they were guided, they were admonished in this mosque. So it was a learning institution in addition to being a place of worship and a place of the congregational prayer. If we look at the books of Bukhari and Muslim and other collections of the Sunnah and the Hadith and the sayings of the Prophet, we find companions saying that we saw the Prophet saying this, we heard him saying this, all of that in the mosque of the Prophet. It is reported that one companion, Umar ibn al-Khattab, may the Almighty be pleased upon him, said he had a neighbor. And they used to live in a distant place. So he said we used to alternate, so that when one of them goes to the mosque in Medina, to the mosque of the Prophet, he would relate to the other person what he heard and what he learned. So a place of learning and a place of guidance. So that was another purpose, place of prayer, place of learning. But also this place was a place of bonding and establishing social relationship. It was a place that was socially engaging. People were not just coming there to pray, say salam, and just leave. That was not the nature of the mosque of the Prophet. This mosque was a place where people had the opportunity to know one another, to care about one another, to know what the situation of their brother and sister is. It's reported that after the morning prayer, after the Fajr prayer, the companions say that after we finish our prayer, we would be having a social conversation. And we would be talking about the days before Islam, the day of Jahiliyyah. And we would talk about the silly things we used to do, and we would be laughing. And the Prophet would be smiling. And another narration reported that after Fajr, the Prophet would turn around to the congregation and would ask them, had anybody seen a dream last night? And he would ask them, how did you interpret the dream? Or sometimes he would tell them a dream he saw himself. So this was a place that was socially engaging. People talked to one another. People shared their concerns, their ideas, their stories. This is a place people knew one another on one-to-one basis. It was not just a place, pray and run away. No, it was a place you come, you pray, you are spiritually nurtured, intellectually nurtured, socially nurtured and connected with the people around. People know you, you know people. And we as human beings, one of our key needs is to have a healthy social relationship. Isolation is one of the major causes of all kinds of distress. So you cannot have a community that supports one another, cares for one another, if you don't have that spirit in the mosque. And that spirit was in the mosque of the Prophet. May the peace and the blessing of Allah be upon him. So if a brother or sister misses or they don't see him there for weeks, not only weeks, days, they would realize that something must be wrong. Maybe he is ill. Maybe some accident happened to him or to her, and readily would be available to go and assist. So that's another important aspect of the Masjid of the Prophet, a place of worship, a place of learning, a place of socialization and bonding. Fourth, my dear brothers and sisters, the Mosque of the Prophet was a place of healing. This was not a monastery exclusive for quote-unquote those who are righteous. No, this place was open for all people. People who have personal struggles, people who have doubts, people who have struggles, young people who have struggles with their sexual urges. Whatever their situation, the door was open to them. They would come and they would receive an open heart, a welcoming place where they will be counseled, they will be guided, they will not be judged or scolded. We see a companion, a young person coming to the Mosque of the Prophet, asking for something that's outrageous, publicly in front of everyone. And the Prophet would not tell him, don't you ever come to our mosque again. Or the Prophet would not chastise him in front of everyone. He understands he's a young person. He is going through some personal struggles. He would tell him, come close to me. And he would sit and talk to him in a fatherly way, in the most loving, in the most kind, in the most engaging way. And this person leaves completely healed, feeling so happy and so comfortable. That was the nature of the prophets, of the Mosque of the Prophet. It was a place that you can come in any shape. And it's a place where you can come and find some guidance. Abu Umama was one of the companions, was going through a lot of distress. So So one time he came to the mosque when nobody was around, sitting in the corner alone. Then the Prophet saw him and approached him and said, Abu Umama, what brought you here at this time, at this hour? He said, O Prophet, duyunun athqalatni, had too much debt and so much worries. And then the Prophet sat with him, talked to him, taught him a prayer that he can say, showed him empathy, support, listened to him. These are the kinds of things that people need when they are in a situation of distress. All of this did not happen somewhere in a hospital. It happened in the mosque of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the mosque of the Prophet, by definition, is a place that you come when you have struggles. It's not the opposite. So again, my dear brothers and sisters, our mosque, if it reflects the spirit, the essence, the substance of what a mosque should be, then it should be, yes, a place of prayer. It should be also a place of teaching and mentoring. It also should be a place of socialization. And also a place of healing. Healing spiritually, healing intellectually, healing mentally, a place where you find support. My dear brothers and sisters, attached to the mosque of the Prophet was a place known as As-Suffa. As-Suffa, this was a place practically for people who have no place to stay. So, people who have no homes, they would just stay in As-Suffa. And they say that the Prophet would come and sit with them and chat with them and talk to them and comfort them, attached to the mosque of the Prophet. That's the nature, that's the essence of the mosque. Mosque is not a closed monastery that's only accessible to people who are seen as righteous. Mosque is for everybody. This is a place of learning and healing. As-Suffa, that's the place people who have no homes would stay. So that's the nature of the mosque, my dear brothers and sisters. Mosque is not just to be built in a beautiful way. Definitely we could do that. Keep it beautiful, yes, we could do that. But more importantly, in the spirit of the mosque of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is a place of charity. This is a place of care. This is a place of kindness. This is a place of welcoming everyone. Not only Muslims, but even people of different faith. Our Prophet was generous to the extent of allowing the Christians who came from Najran, in an authentically reported narration. And when their time of their prayer came, he allowed them to do their prayer in his mosque, in one side of the mosque. And that's, my dear brothers and sisters, how the nature of the masjid was, a place of learning for people of different places, a place that you could do something blatantly wrong, but you know that you will be corrected kindly and gently. We all know the story of the Bedouin who came and urinated in the center of the mosque. Not intentionally, but didn't know. That was the nature of the Bedouins. They just urinate wherever is convenient. The Prophet did not shout at him. He did not scold him. He did not tell him, you don't respect the masjid, you don't deserve to come to the masjid. On the contrary, he told the companions who were angry, let him finish. And then he would take him on the side, explain to him, this is a place of worship. This is not a place for urination. If you want to do this, go outside and do it. Very kindly, very gently. So yes, my dear brothers and sisters, we are blessed to have a masjid. We have blessed to have this place. But it is incumbent upon all of us, not just to keep this place clean, not just to keep this place quiet, but more importantly, to keep that spirit of the masjid, so that everyone who comes to this place would leave yearning to come again, would leave with a sense of awe, feeling that I was in a place that welcomes me. I was in a place that's accepting. I was in a place that's understanding. That's the nature, that's the essence, that's the substance of the masjid. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who revive that spirit in our mosques. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and bless us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. استغفر الله العظيم الذي. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, a few years ago, there was some heated discussion in one city in North America where they want to buy a place to use as a mosque. So they found a building. And the building they found was in an area where there were many homeless people. So some people objected to having a place or a mosque in that place. They said, no, we don't want to be around homeless people. We want to keep our masjid somewhere else. And whatever was the outcome, but having that kind of discussion itself is troubling. Because mosque is for everyone. In fact, people who are homeless, people who are struggling with addictions, people who are on the margin of society, these are the people who need the mosque more. If we were to keep the mosque away from them, then we are undermining the essence and the substance of the message of Islam and the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know Surah Abasa. Surah Abasa, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned away from a blind person, not purposely, but because he was speaking to some of the notables in Mecca. He was corrected for that action. عَبَسَ وَتَوَلَّى أَنْ جَاءَهُ الْأَعْمَى. So the essence of Islam is to care about the homeless, to care about those who are struggling with addictions, those who have mental illness. We don't want to avoid them. We don't want to see them as people that we have to keep distance away from them. No, the spirit of the masjid and the spirit of Islam is to be out there in the street and the field, caring and helping and sharing. But if we look at our masajid as a closed place, clean, neat, quiet, exclusively for people who are observant, everyone else is not welcome, that's not the spirit of the masjid. And that's not the essence of the masjid. So I urge you, my dear brothers and sisters, let's make this place a warm place, a welcome place, a place that everyone who comes here would leave saying that I want to come to that place again. And if we inshallah all do that, then certainly our masjid will be a true masjid, not only in structure, but also in essence and substance. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم لا تدع لنا في جمعنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا محتاجا إلا أعنته، ولا مظلوما إلا نصرته. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
حق لا إله إلا الله. Straighten your lines, fill in the gaps. استووا، استقيموا، اعتدلوا. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما. والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما. والذين يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما إنها ساءت مستقرا ومقاما. والذين إذا أنفقوا لم يسرفوا ولم يقتروا وكان بين ذلك قواما. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. والذين لا يدعون مع الله إلها آخر ولا يقتلون النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يزنون ومن يفعل ذلك يلقى أثاما يضاعف له العذاب يوم القيامة ويخلد فيه مهانا إلا من تاب وآمن وعمل عملا صالحا فأولئك يبدل الله سيئاتهم حسنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. MIA Cafe is open. We are serving chicken biryani